Alright, well, got another goodie bag for today, or it's not really a goodie bag, but a goodie box. Something I've been looking for quite a while, but I have not been able to find the right one. However, this guy looks pretty good and exactly kind of what I'm looking for, so purchase made. It is a dash cam. Fitcamx is the brand, I guess. It's designed to perfectly fit up here in and around where the rear view mirror is. So it's kind of hidden and away, and there's no wires. That's because that's what I didn't want to have. I didn't want to clog up my USB port or my wherever the DC socket is. If I even have one, I can't remember if I do. It doesn't look like it. Oh, it's right here. Duh. Did not want wires going every which way, so I've been holding off until I found something that worked. And this one apparently connects to your car's power supply via the rear mirror because there's a camera up front. That's how it knows the speed limit and displays for you in the display. So we're going to utilize that and piggyback off of that and try to install this puppy, you know, as you do, and go from there. So hopefully this works and works great, because I've wanted one for quite a while, and like I said, I haven't found one that I liked until now. So let's check it out and see what happens. Alright, I have not really even opened this box yet, so it's kind of an unboxing video as well. Here are some of the key features. You got the Wi-Fi connection, you got loop recording, of course. G-sensor should be, if like the car gets bumped or something, it automatically turns on and records even if it's off, like the car is off. Super wide angle, I think it's 172 degrees if I remember right from looking at it. And then perfect fit, of course, it's going to look like OEM parts, and it's hopefully even hidden behind that mirror. And HDR just is a fancy way of saying, you know, the image has depth, I guess. But why don't we go ahead and open it up. You can get this on Amazon, but I saw if I buy directly from the website, I saved like 20 bucks. Although it did take quite a while to get here, I must say. So if you're looking for one of these, you know, that was my experience. Save 20 bucks, but it'll take a few weeks. It looks like it does come with a 64 gig SD card, but I already bought a 128, so you know, this is also an extreme one, so I figure if it's going to be in my car, it's going to be susceptible to the sun. So got a good one for that. Let's see what else is in here. Doesn't weigh like anything. Here are the components. Looks like there's two. This is, I guess, half of it? Yeah, look at that. Ugly, ugly sticker. I'm quite certain I will take off. Okay, interesting. Here's what I assume the other half with the camera. And a cord. There you go. Look at that. This, I assume, just plugs into the socket. There should be a splitter thing somewhere, I thought. Probably in this box right here. I didn't realize there was that before. There we go. So I kind of looked at the video online of how you install this, and it looks fairly straightforward. Oh, interesting. They got you a little USB converter. Good. Tool and a power splitter. So this is what's kind of in the car already, up in the mirror, and then this kind of splits that power supply to split between what's already in the car, and then this goes to the camera, I guess. So now the fun part, we get to disassemble the mirror and see how this thing gets installed. Okay, hard part over. I gotta think that's gonna be the hardest part in this whole thing, is snapping those things off. It was actually a little difficult until I realized there was a little hole right under the mirror in the center. I kind of shimmied the tool on up there and pried it all apart, and eventually it all snapped off. So here are the components. The top two are what just got off my car. The bottom is what we're gonna install, and you can see it matches pretty darn well. So that's always awesome to know that it's gonna look legit. Now we just fiddle with some electronics and we should be up and running. Okay, well, I think my phone timed out there because of the heat, but no matter, we got there. This was a doozy, trying to unplug these two things from each other. There's like this giant lip that made it very difficult. Hard to tell on this one, but I can show on this because it's the exact same thing. So there's a giant lip that, where is it? This end. That's on this one, yeah. If you can see that. And it doesn't like go down, it's like always going to be, it's not like a clip. So that was very difficult to do, especially in this extremely tight space. It's so hard to get in. So you're gonna want to need one of these guys for sure. Tiny little screwdriver to get up in there and pry it open, and that seemed to do the trick once you fiddle with it for a few moments. So that was definitely a help for sure, because I don't think there's any way you're going to get that on your own. Just by yourself. So now all we got to do is start plugging everything in, and it should be all plug and play from here, and hopefully quite easy. Go. All good. Lights on. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but that's a good sign. Now hopefully we can hide this wire on up behind this guy. So this is where I drive, and as you can see, you can't really see it. You can see a little bit of it, and now that I noticed, it's not all the way closed either, so I'm gonna fiddle with that. But yeah, from a vantage point of, you know, right here, I think we're good. Alright, well, here's a couple before and after shots, so you can kind of tell what it looks like now versus what it did before. Not too much difference. I mean, it protrudes a little bit more, but you can't really know, or you won't really know unless you know what's there, kind of a thing, which is great and what I was looking for, of course. It does kind of look a little blue in the video, but that's because it's still got the little blue cap on. Didn't want to mess up the lens yet, so I kind of kept that on until the end, and I'm going to take it off here in a second. I'm going to fiddle with the app, make sure it's working good via the Wi-Fi. And of course, we still need to install Mr. Little USB SD card, but that's real easy to do because it should go right over here in the little slot. If you can tell, right up in there. So I'll get that going and then we'll see how it works. Okay, Wi-Fi connected, everything looks good. It looks like it's recording in 4K, so I guess now the only test is to drive around and see what that footage is like. And I guess make sure my speed limit reader is, you know, still working after I had to unplug it. So here it is, first drive, first test down the street. I didn't notice until later, but it actually by default was 1440p, and obviously it's a 4K camera, so I made that adjustment later on, but this is just the official test with 1440. Picture quality isn't the best, but it's better than nothing, I guess. It's very overexposed. I couldn't figure out how to adjust the exposure rating, and the picture itself is very grainy. I don't know if you can tell in this video because I scaled it down to match the 1080p size of this video, but the raw footage itself on my screen was very grainy, very overexposed. And again, this is just the first initial 1440. Obviously for a dash cam you want the highest resolution possible, so later on when I figured that out, I flipped it to 4K, and that's what this is here. Different day, a little bit more sunny, but the same street, and you can already tell that the picture itself is a lot more clearer. It's still kind of grainy, and it's not the best even at 4K, but it is better than it was at 1440. So I'm going to leave it in 4K mode, because obviously I want the highest resolution for a dash cam. I mean, that's why it's there. It's the protection for accidents and stuff. But yeah, so this is the 4K footage in the raw. For comparison's sake, I was running my GoPro at the same time, so this is the same street, same time for the GoPro, and the GoPro of course has video stabilization. It has a much richer picture itself, even though this is a 1080p video. It is better. It's a better camera for this, and I'm kind of surprised that dash cam isn't at a higher quality, especially for this price point in 2022 here. But when I throw them both together, I mean, you'll see the difference here. So on the left, you got the dash cam. On the right, you got the GoPro synced at the same time, and you can tell the difference of how each one behaves. Like I was saying, the exposure on the left is just a little bit harsh, especially when it's bouncing between the shadows. Especially if you watch the sky in some certain spots, like it will go pure white, whereas the GoPro makes that adjustment and it goes white too sometimes, but then it can bounce back pretty well. Here's a different street, a little bit more shade, not so direct in the sun as before. And if you watch that sky, you'll see what I'm talking about, where the overexposure is happening a lot on the dash cam versus the GoPro, which can make that adjustment, you know, in and of itself without any editing software or whatnot after the fact, which you could probably still do and adjust if you need to on the dash cam footage. I guess the point is you have that footage to even begin with. Like I said, it's better than nothing for sure. One thing to note, this Tesla in front of me, let's say he sideswiped me and is a hit and run. Even at this distance, you can't read his license plate, so you got to get pretty close up in order to capture that license plate, because even at this 3 or 4 car length difference, you still won't be able to read it. Here it is at night, still 4K mode at this point. You can see the picture quality is pretty good. Still a bit oversaturated, still could be a bit grainy at times, but for pitch black darkness, I think it's a very crystal clear image. You can read signs, there's very little motion blur. That's great to see. But even as I approach the stoplight here, you can see the car to the left of me, 2 lanes over, still can't quite read that license plate, mainly due to the overexposure of the license plate light itself. So again, at night, you got to get pretty close to someone to catch them. But watch these cars going by. There's almost no motion blur at all, which is pretty shocking for as fast as they're going and as dark as this night was. So this is great to see. All right, so there you go. It's all installed, it's blinking away, and it works. It will run for about 5 to 6 minutes after you turn off your car, and then it will just automatically stop recording, I've noticed. So I watch to make sure those lights go off. They do only go off after it stops running, but it's recording right now, so it's gonna blink. And you don't really see those lights at night, even though it looks kind of bright on the video. Now, if you're directly to the right of the car, or left of the car, looking at the right, you will kind of see that blinkingness, if you will. But you certainly don't see it from the driver's perspective. And it's a little bit harder to see in the day. It does get kind of bright at night, but good news is it's all hidden for the most part. I mean, here's my eyes right here. So you can barely see it, which is great. I wanted something that's hidden away, not taking up the plugs and everything. So that's real good. Picture quality, as you saw, is not the best, but it works, and it works just fine. You can't really ask for too much more, I guess. It is what it is, and it's just fine. Nope, not too much complaints. I do, like I showed, have a 128 card in there. So that will give you about 11 hours of looping 4K footage, which is pretty good. You know, you're not going to really need to know or have much more than that stored at any given point. Because if you do get in a wreck or something, it should auto protect those files for you. And then when you get home, you can always just copy them to your computer real easily since they're on an SD card. Or copy them to your phone, I think. You can do that too through the Wi-Fi app. If you take it back to 1440p, you get a little bit more space, and so you get a little bit more recording time, but it's not by much. I calculated it to only be about 15 to 16 hours or so. But overall, yet again, you know, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it turned out great. It was fairly easy and straightforward to install. So, you know, if you're looking for one yourself, I say go for it, because it's a lot better than having some wires and everything else taking up your dash and just looks bad. Even though with this footage here, I'm kind of showing it looks like it just protrudes out so much, but in reality, you're not going to see it hardly at all, and even from the front, it just looks natural, like it should always be there, which is what you want. It looks very factory installed kind of spec. So all good. I'm happy. Good purchase, and now I have that footage, so I'm well protected in case of any sort of accident, anything weird that happens in front of me that I just want to save. And since you take that footage too, I'll leave you with this, is a nice little time lapse you can do too, since it's always going to be recording.